This conference will now be recorded.
I have one addition I'd like to add to the discussion tonight. And it concerns the first stump in Spencer Park. There's been some discussion on and off for the last couple of years, more so lately. I can't remember the last when that was cut, probably 5, 6 years ago now. And, but recently I had the idea about either getting the Parks Committee to act on it or one way or the other, cut it down, see if it's able to be carved on or cut it down. So that's where we're at now. And I'm going to bring a proposal to the August 2nd meeting to this body. And that proposal is going to hinge on whether it is salvageable or not. And my proposal basically is that if it's able to be carved, it's not rotten, we're going to take a couple inches off the top and look down into the heart of it. If it's still sound, I think it could be carved on.
So are you wanting them to approve the testing of it before your proposals?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could do that this week.
Yeah, so do you want to make it new business B?
New business B, yep, thank you.
Okay.
Spencer Tree Stump.
Pins grant.
Yeah, that blue one.
Got it, buddy. Testing stump.
Any other additions or corrections to the workshop tonight? If not, would anyone like, okay, thank you, Dale.
Accept the agenda with the addition of new business B, tree stump.
I will second.
Second's been made. Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Counselor Williams,
Aye.
Counselor Webb.
Aye.
Counselor Allen,
Aye.
Mayor Hobart,
Aye.
motion carried.
Thank you, Stephanie. We'll move right into new business.
Okay, so this meeting is going to be similar to a meeting we're going to have every quarter. Because in order to evaluate me as the chief officer of the city, you guys need to be brought up to speed collectively as a group on where projects are at, so that will help you over time fill out my evaluation. So I wanted Donald to be here because potentially he's going to be in that. You may feel like you guys felt at the beginning where you hadn't had experience with me and you didn't want to score me, or you may feel like from the information he gets tonight, he's able to score. Either way, a counselor can score. So I'm going to go through kind of the projects, and then I'm going to tell you the second page is things that are currently going on or you've added. So on the front page, we started the year with 34 items. So green means it's completed. Yellow means it's still in progress. Red means it's kind of stalled or there has been no movement because of other groups or people that are other players in the group. So we'll just go down them, and if you have questions about that project, then ask away. So Hawkins Park tree removal, they're removed. Now the planning needs to start with the Upper Nehalem Watershed Council. That's what that acronym is. And that's Maggie Payton. She's going to be looking for some ORWEB funding potentially to maybe see if we can rip wrap. So I don't know if you've ever noticed when the pool's not in, if you look down there, you can see the rip wrap's gone into the river during high water. We want to redo that. And then she wants to do some plantings and native things that will kind of stabilize the bank there. So that project has not even started. That's why I have it as red. The trees are out, but the project for the restoration, Maggie would have to get funding through a process, and that has not started yet. Ora Bullmeyer logging is a yellow because we've completed the logging. The replanting can't happen until fall, winter. We got the cedars in there. The other items that we had talked about, there's no sense.
Seedlings.
There's going to be some seedlings. There's going to be some normal sized trees, some Oregon ash, potentially some madrone. And I might even throw in some Logger's Bane just on Bruce McNair's behalf. Fighting.
That is going to happen this fall,
That's what, yeah, that's going to be a fall planting.
October.
Yeah, so, well, depending on the weather, maybe November if it's not wet enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conifer seedlings probably won't go in until January, February.
Yeah,
So them cedars looked a little stressed the other day when I got looking at them. I don't know.
they survived pretty well, that heat thing. I mean, we were watering them, we were soaking them every day trying to keep.
I seen there was a hose bib there, but I didn't know if it worked or not. I couldn't turn the thing. So
Yeah, so the guys have a tool and Jonathan's been going in the mornings and,
I've seen him stretching the hose out.
yeah, so he's been watering.
that faucet does work there.
Yes.
Just
that is-
get a wrench and turn it.
So number 3 is Springboard Sewer Project. We were awarded the funding for the design. So that's in the process. We had another meeting today. We have to do environmental review and all the things prior to the engineers designing it. The design's pretty simple. We're hoping we can do it with gravity. If not, we'll do a Encompass pump station kind of up in the right of way area above. I don't know how to explain it. So Springboard, where Morrison's compound was, there's right of way there that we'd be sticking it in an alley. Jeff's seen a few different versions of a all enclosed pump station, and it's not really going to take a ton of movement. It's not a huge amount it's trying to send down. And then there'd be upgrading to the size of pipes as they go through Wellers, down through Hawkins to the manhole there. There's some other tweaks in the design with removing the sewer pipe that is a fish passage problem in Bear Creek. And it's the reason we've never been able to put a box culvert there. So it's all in the process of moving. They foresee us having a signed contract in September so that it doesn't just stall till September. We've filed exemption paperwork, so you can file that, hey, before you give me a contract, I want to work on this, this, and this. So we're filing exemption paperwork to start the environmental review, to start some pre-stuff with the engineer. And then you have to get that sign off so you can do it ahead of it and they'll still pay for it. So that's where we're at with
I
CDBG.
have just a side question.
Yeah.
All that pipe up there,
Yes.
what's that?
So that's all, there's some projects. Yeah.
So said, who's going to pay for the box culvert work? Is that part of the grant? Or are we going to be stuck?
That'll be part of the construction. So this is the design where we say, hey, we're going to need a box culvert, we're going to need a pump station, we're going to do this and this and this. We design it all. Then we're queued up to apply for a construction funding through CDBG to do all of that construction.
Sometimes a watershed does those box culverts too, right?
Yeah, and Maggie's working with us and ODF&W. The other thing they would love to have removed as part of the design is the waterfall at the confluence. They see that as juvenile fish barrier. And one of the things they don't like the pool because it holds back fish. So we're trying to work with them, remove some barriers, and then potentially they would in the future design some sort of fish ladder component at the pool on their dime, because we're doing this as our skin in the game to make them happy. Then they can do their project, whether it's a little bypass up higher up. I don't know how they do it, but that's on them.
That seems really weird to me. I've seen salmon go up waterfalls.
Well, they're not worried about full size. They're worried about small and juvenile, which in the heat times, that's where these fish come to get respite, right? They come up to the cooler areas of the creeks. So that's what they're most worried about is
That's just concrete over a pipe, right?
it is. So that's all kind of happening in the discussion of design.
The only trouble with that though, that's a natural falls there. That's why they put the pipe in there and then laid the concrete on top of it.
Yeah.
Just a,
They want to remove at the confluence here?
They want to remove the little waterfall.
Right.
which is, that's not a,
By Anderson Park
yeah,
was,
And I've been down there and watched them go up.
that's a sewer pipe that goes clear across there that on top of an already kind of shale rock formation. So they want our sewer pipe out of there, which, okay, if we can design it. And basically what would happen is there would be a pump station kind of near the footbridge, elevated out of the floodplain, similar to what pump station by the dump looks like, where it's up on blocks. And that would send all of the stuff from Springboard, all of this through that pump station straight to the headworks. So that pipe in the river would not be used anymore. It would be decommissioned.
Just obsolete.
So that's kind of where we're at with the design. It's going to go through lots of tweaks and talks. The city danger trees, currently we have all the identified trees removed and trimmed. I did just get a note from Anderson Park. There's a couple maples over the picnic shelter that they want us to have someone look at. So I'm probably going to have Mike Grant just give me a small little bid to trim up the couple ones they're worried about. But let us know if any counselor sees something. Counselor Webb came in and there was one leaning on Webbway and Tim just went and took care of it.
So do we have a staff? Are they trained and looking for trees?
Yeah, so Tim and I once a year go through and check everything and then they'll tell us if they see stuff, the public works. But nobody was on the backside of that trail before you saw it. So,
I do know one more.
oh, okay. Well, let us know because we can put a work order in and get it taken care of so it's not a risk
I'll
to
let
us.
you know.
Okay.
Now that's on city property,
Any city property,
not private, city property.
just city properties. Yeah.
Well, I know of one over above Elaine's house that's,
And I've
Clean
been
out.
working with Elaine on that one. We did have, Bruce went up there and talked to her about it. And there's a few of them up there that potentially she kind of has to decide because if they all come out, there's not this, potentially not the stability. That cemetery is like a mound, like if you plopped donuts and then squished them, it's just kind of bumps down. And so there's weird ones with knees that come up and go out. And so if we take them out, that could be also risky to her. So we're working on identifying all the issues there.
this guy from Hillsborough just took out a whole row of big ones right behind my house on top of a nice new fence between power lines, between two houses. And I thought, and he never destroyed anything and did a beautiful job in about 3 days. And it was like 12 full-size trees by himself. He's a heck of a worker.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
find out who he is.
yeah. So if you find out who he is,
He's a climber. He climbs and
oh,
done.
He has a younger gentleman helping him with the. He has a younger gentleman helping him.
Oh, okay. But I see him doing all the cutting himself.
Yeah.
so that's kind of where we're at with danger trees. If you guys see any or on city property, let us know. We'll put in a work order and get it dealt with. The Mill House's sewer line replacement. So that's actually the houses, for lack of a better description, the row of houses where Fred Oviatt used to live. And so that sewer line is in some of the houses directly under the house. So we are putting a new sewer main down the alley with stub outs, and then each house needs to connect to those. And that was expected to be done this fiscal year, but it will be done by the end of summer. We didn't hit the June 30 deadline with all the work that's been going on. The Seepley sewer issue is the Clatsop sewer main that we're putting in from 6th to 4th. This solves where the old timers cut across Mr. Seepley's property, since it was easier to get grade if you just clip the corner of his property with the sewer main. He wants to develop that property, so we are moving the sewer main. And we're currently waiting, but it sounds like now we can move the logs and get going on that. All the equipment and piping, some of that piping is that piping grant. The manholes are up there on 6. We're just waiting. We're just waiting for the gentleman to be okay with how we move the
We
logs.
don't want to go under a structure. We don't want to go under a structure with a sewer.
No,
That's risky.
yeah.
Bad practice.
So those two are yellow.
that stuff is on 6th Avenue.
It's Clatsop from 6th to 4th.
Okay.
We're going to put in a new sewer main from the manhole on 6th to the manhole on 4th with an extra manhole in the middle.
Who do we have contracted to move the logs?
No one yet. I had Peel and Dennis Weller look at it. We're going to have someone with a self-loader because that guy's driveway is very tight and the place he has asked them to be put is very tight. So now that we can cut them into log truck lengths and not full length as they fell like he originally wanted, then we're good. Louisiana North-South connection. So that's red because I'm sending stuff back and forth with Betsy's office, like, how's this money coming down? Because we know how the ARPA money is slated to come to us, the 460,000 that the feds have given the city in allocation, but I'm waiting to see how the state's dispersing. But we do have $400,000 that's allocated from Betsy's office through her pot of money that she got from the ARPA in the state. She's agreed to have us do the Louisiana North-South connection.
By design, you mean how's it going to drain? Are those the issues that
Well, when we were,
design will cover?
yeah, so when we were up there, we talked about making all of the catch basins on the corners of the letter streets, getting the topo for that, getting all the storm lined out, getting all of it lined out in the design, and then putting in the rock base where there's currently trees. We're going to have to log that section between Costley's and the north section. We're going to have to put in base. We're going to have to build it all.
I've had a question for years about why put a drain on each corner when one larger one in the middle would carry off all the water. You wouldn't have to have all the auxiliary pipes feeding the main pipe. You just have one drain.
Yeah, yeah, you have to crown in the middle. Crown, the road crowns and the gutter is the edge where the curb is. So the middle of the road has to be higher than the edges of the road.
Yeah, see, that's what's illogical to me, because when you do that, when you look up Washington, the road goes like this. Because every time you cross one of those, there's a dam. And that's what caused all the flooding. That's what caused the water, instead of just going straight down state. If it had been like this, the water would have gone straight down. But when you crown the road, what happens is it causes a dam and it forces the water right and left until it gets high enough to go over the dam.
So if you want to see a reason why you don't do it in a downpour, go look at Cherry Street. When the water comes down the middle, well, when the water comes down the middle, it will go to the lowest point. There's a gentleman on Cherry Street, the water comes straight down Cherry. He's the lowest point. It turns and just fills his whole garage with water.
Yeah.
So that's why you crown and do catch basins, is because you're diverting the water to a system that you can then divert it further away.
Did you see that cloud burst in Phoenix? Did you see, it looked like a nuclear explosion. Did you see that picture?
No.
It was it was solid black and it was like a foot of water in just a couple minutes.
Oh my God.
And in Phoenix, they have the drains in the middle.
Because Phoenix is either 800 degrees or flash flooding. So that's how you can handle flash flooding, but we have constant rain.
Yeah.
It's very different environments.
What about elevations up there? I thought council said move forward with getting elevations going on that Louisiana project about
Yeah.
4 months ago. Is
Yeah,
that?
we talked to you guys at the meeting that they, Lower Columbia Engineering is working on with Dawn on the topo and all that. Ahead of this. This is for, hey, this is what we know. Now where do we have to put all the stuff? And what the bigger project is.
Currently,
We're not gonna get a bunch of grant money. They're gonna want to redo it all, double charges basically, are they?
No,
So that was 460 or 400?
400 is the north-south connection. That's coming through Betsy Johnson's office.
Right.
Each state senator got 4 million to do infrastructure projects in their district. So skate park. It's yellow. So one of the issues is, and you will see as we go further, part of the dilemma that staff's having is all the new ideas, all the things that are currently on our plate, and then the things that kind of pop up in the middle. When we try like I've said before, we can't do all of it simultaneously because nothing really moves. So certain things fall off until they're funded. Well, we just got the final funding for this current year in April. And then now all of a sudden, everyone wants it to be top of the list and all these other things are happening. So this is kind of the dilemma staff's feeling with all these things on here. I don't expect us to prioritize tonight. What I'm thinking is in our best interest is I can give you updates on all the projects. We can do my review. And then following that, we should sit down and go through these and have you guys decide what's important enough to the 5 of you to move up and what's okay if nothing happens on it. Because I think there's a total of 64 current projects. And some of them are gigantic and some of them are this big. But that's a lot for basically 7 staff here, 21 total in the city to try and accomplish and get any movement if we can't let some just stall and bust out the other ones and then have those come up, if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say. Skate park's one of those that's been affected like that because January 1, when I'm trying to do all the stuff you guys had prioritized, it wasn't even funded. We had not gotten the grant. And then once we did luckily, fortunately get the money from Randy, then it's like Wendy's ready for it to be number 1. And I'm still trying to do all the stuff you guys already laid out for me.
It's really not a priority.
It is for a set of the population. Yeah, for a set of the population. And I'm all behind getting it all busted out. But this is the dilemma I'm in with the stuff that is immediate or health and human hazard. Those things trump everything.
Yeah, there are more.
Can you just give me a rundown of the holdup on the skate park? What exactly do we need to get done to get it out to bid?
Well, finalizing all the documentation to make it. So if you have a contract that's more than $250,000 in the state and you're a municipality and you put it out, you have to pay prevailing wage. They cannot get the skate park they want with the money they have if it's prevailing wage. So the only way to do that is have the city allow the contract because it's our property. Our 20,000 that we have go to park amenities, things we would put in the park, whether there's a skate park or not. Lighting, benches, a water fountain, things that we would add to a park as an amenity that doesn't have to do with skate park. We almost need to be like separate groups. The tricky part with that is nobody hardly ever writes a contract. Typically, you can find another municipality that's got something similar and use that to tweak it and then have your legal review it and then you move forward with something that works for you. There's nobody that's tried to do it. So I'm piecemealing it as I have time when all these other things aren't taking my time to build it so that it's right. Because the one thing we don't want to do is step out with a contract that's not tight, because then they'll get us on change orders, they'll get us on every little thing, and we will run out of money before we get the product we want. So it's kind of a cluster.
Well, I guess I would
Are they
make the
listening to you?
assumption.
One at a time.
The people who want the skate park to go.
No, I was astounded. I had been.
There are more important things.
No, I had been communicating with Wendy. It was like a slap in the face that she came and basically said, I talked to her 4 weeks ago and she hasn't finished it. That was a real slap in the face to me because I've been working hard with her and I want to get it done. It's just with all the other stuff, I'm only one person. So I feel for her, but then on the flip side, I think she has no clue all the stuff that's going on. And I wish I could just had the money to just hand it over to someone and say, build this contract for us for $10,000.
Yeah.
Here you go. But we don't have the money. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. I'm trying to do my best, but sometimes it's not good enough.
Josette, can we call Classic and
I called Greg. I
Okay.
called every municipality. They all did
How
their.
did they do their skate park in their?
Well, Greg's was done, they just did it out of their own funds. So they didn't, and there was nowhere near the 250. The closest one is Hillsborough, but their Parks and Rec paid for that one on Cornelius Pass, that 6,000 square foot one there. And Parks and Rec isn't prevailing wage because however, their Parks and Rec is set up, it's not the city of Hillsborough, it's like an entity of its own. So when it's the city and the city's property, you can do it a certain way if someone else pays for it. But if we're part of it and our insurance doesn't want us just to hand it over, because I asked that too, can I just say, Wendy will give you a ground lease, but then that group that got the money isn't really a group. They're more just a pass through of money. They're not a group that would regularly meet, even like Intercultural Society. They're not long-terming wanting to be part of the group. They just want it built in the city to maintain it and insure it.
So has the design been decided on yet?
No, so we have 2 concept designs
Okay.
from 2 different firms. It's all that legal ease stuff. Ruben's reviewed the services contract because that's kind of what you call it. But it's more about what are the elements. And Wendy, some of the stuff, I don't even know if contractors in the US do it. So one was the fluorescence, and it's different than it's like, so I was thinking, oh, it's that sparkly stuff like at Cheesecake Factory. You know, have you ever been to Washington Square and the sidewalks glittery? No, she wants it at night to be glowing. I can't figure out even how to, it's a cluster.
It takes a lot of light to,
Well, it's like glow in the dark paint. So it absorbs the sunlight, right? And then it shoots it back. But she said there's only 2 places in like the UK that have had it. And I'm at a loss with some of these things. I don't know about it. So that's what's taking the long time, in addition to all the other things you'll hear about. So that's probably the one that I'm the most disappointed has not gotten farther.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
but there's good reasons.
There is, but it still doesn't take away the sting that the kids are waiting for it. Randy Holst is waiting for it. Wendy's waiting. I mean, I feel all of that all the time because they really want it and I want it for them, but. So Spencer Park Play Shed roof repair, that's completed.
All right.
We ever get the pictures?
No, that's a good thing. I did not get the picture
Okay.
of the up top.
They've repaired it once or twice up there.
Yeah. I'll send that guy an email because I did ask that. The UGB annexation, currently this is with the planner and preparing the application for the county. So that's us closing the boot, the UGB, bringing those things in, doing all the tweaks that you guys had already discussed. And so that'll come back to you guys in a public hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, so we actually finished up the de-annexation application today and sent our completeness letter. So you guys will have a resolution authorizing it officially to be de-annexed on this, is it the 16th? Second meeting in August.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Was that pretty well in order by Matt when it was handed over?
mostly,
Pretty close,
yes.
yeah.
Mostly?
There are some items that we, as it turns out, have to button up.
Yeah.
But it actually worked out in our favor because now we can include Mr. Dixon's in that.
Right.
So his is moving forward while we're simultaneously finishing up the other things that we need for the application to the county. Then we'll make our package and submit to the county.
And not have to do it 2 separate ones, which would cost more. So that's good. Corey Hill Stormwater Master Plan, that has had no movement. Once the Springboard CDBG design phase starts, that's going to be encompassed in that, the stormwater part of what's happening to the manholes. Why is the Clatsop Bellagio fountain happening when it's heavy rain? So that's going to be kind of pulled in somewhat to the design of the CDBG project. The Weed Avenue Storm Project, that's what some of the other piping is for. So we are going back to the storm manhole on Cougar, and we are connecting new pipe and a new manhole and taking the storm water from West Oregon Electric, the health and the senior center to the Nehalem. Currently, they fill up their overflow ponds and they come into Bear Creek. That is in addition to the couple of years ago when they cut all that up there and there was just no, when they logged up here in this
No.
tributary, there was nothing. So it was running down here and then they were storing all this roof water and all of it was going to Bear Creek and flooding the neighbors. It probably won't solve the whole Bear Creek problem, but it should solve a huge portion of it. And only letting what comes down the tributaries get into Bear Creek and not roof drains from buildings that are 5,000 to 9,000 square feet.
Are we subbing this out or in-house?
It's in-house.
There's only one drain in front of West Oregon, is that correct?
No, they're in the curb line. If you look, they're cut into the curbs of West Oregon and the health center.
On both ends? I
They're
know there's one in the middle.
in the curb. So the curb runs and they're like New York City where it's like tucked into the curb.
I'll have to go
Where
look.
the town heights.
Yeah, where the Stephen King plan hides. So that's needs to be done prior to the paving. So the 2021 paving, that's why the pipe's over there. That's why we're all geared up to get that storm connected and through the linear trail. We were talking about directionally boring. We're just going to end up cutting the trail there at the end of Weed.
And we got permission from the landowner on the other side?
So the weird thing is where the right of way actually comes through there. The little triangle is Mr. Nichols, and it is not going to go across Mr. Nichols' property. Actually,
There's weed.
yeah, so see, the right of way comes all the way here. This is Mr. Nichols' property, this triangle. This is the.
Oh, our right of way goes all the way to the river.
Yes.
Okay, so
So we won't be touching Mr. Nichols' property. He still thinks he's going to bring a trailer and camp out there in the summers, which I said, hey, we'll find you the key to the lock. If you want to drag a trailer across the thing, try it. I don't know.
so that lock is ours.
Yeah,
What's that sit right where the picnic tables are?
no. So the picnic tables, the picnic tables are here,
Oh, okay.
right, in between the building and the trail.
Oh, okay.
And so this just comes straight down. So that needs to happen first, and then that's slated to get paved. We're out getting paving bids right now, but that section of Weed is getting a little more than a half street improvement. We can't go full width because it would be right up to the people's doorsteps,
Pretty much.
but we're going to potentially pave kind of like little aprons where they park their cars. Not the full length in front of them, but like you'll see, they have kind of gravel there already.
Yeah.
So that's the Weed Storm project. The Louisiana Stormwater Master Plan. This will run along with the storm north-south connection project. So when we're designing all that master plan of how all that stormwater is coming down off that hill of Louisiana and getting diverted will be part of that. The streets improvement execution plan. So we're preliminarily, staff's reporting to the Public Works Committee at their meeting tomorrow. I don't really have a determination of when it will come to council. It kind of depends on how long Public Works chews on it. You guys had approved taking out the Mr. Schaefer issue on 3rd because we found out that his water percolating in his basement has nothing to do with the city's stormwater, and it's some sort of spring. The Bear Creek culvert at Adams, this will be completed when we do the construction for CDBG. We'll be removing that pipe and then working to get a box culvert in there. City equipment maintenance plan. This has the potential to move forward if we go with something like that asset mapping tool I want you guys to have the presentation on, using the recovery plan monies to get basically, Donald, you get all your equipment inventoried and then you set kind of key markers and it shoots out work orders of change the oil, take that to small engine repair. The missing component of what's been going on at Public Works, because we got it all in Jeff's head and none of it on paper. So we're looking at a product that if council likes it, we'll be doing that asset mapping. The Noakes Road water line is red. There's nothing going on. It's a future work project in Public Works. If we get all this other stuff done and decide to do a reservoir and take a line up there to make the whole system loop, that would be a future thing. We had discussed with Public Works Committee and with the neighbors to see how many people would want to connect. But currently with your ordinance about no one connecting out of the city limits, that would have to change once a reservoir's up there at the old dump site. That's the property the city owns by Odom's and just south of Terry's Gym. We own 2 parcels up there, and that's where in the water master plan, it's slated to have a future reservoir if we were going to put one in someday.
Do the people who have wells up there have pretty good water?
It's hit or miss. There's a couple of them that have pretty good. Mary Ann's, and you'll see this down. Let me,
Oh, yeah.
where is it? Number 24. So her father's well is great. Mary Ann's is right next to the old dump, and it never produced. We did testing, and luckily the dump was open in a time where you didn't have the contaminants and the chemicals we have now. So when they did the testing, there wasn't any leaching or anything into her well. It just wasn't a good producer. This number 24, the state wants, we pay a nominal fee every year for them to come and check out our old dump. We want to retire that, but they will not retire it till Miss Odom gets a new well. They are, however, willing to give their grant funds and work with us and Mary Ann to get her a new well that's producing. But it's like pulling teeth. And then when I get to someone and they know what the hell I'm talking about, then they move to a different position and I got some new guy from the state. So it's all keeping moving, but that's why that one's yellow as well. And so, yeah, thanks. Thank you. Anderson Park RV sites, there's no project funded in the budget currently, but that doesn't mean you couldn't do something, but it has not moved forward. The idea is that when we move the playground to the middle, that the playground area would be 4 or 5 more RV spots. Right now, it's kind of dry RV or tent. It's not as
Play equipment move into more.
it's in the middle. Now it's right by the picnic shelter.
But it'll go more central.
No, it is central. It's right next to the picnic shelter.
It's already there.
It was across the street.
It was across the street
Oh,
from the picnic shelter.
yeah, right.
Yeah, so we took that one out. We put the new playground right there by the picnic shelter.
Yeah.
And so that area,
It is.
that would be 4 or 5 new spots, hopefully. But we haven't, it's not funded. The committee ordinance 880 review for amendment and adoption. City recorder anticipates this review and amending of the committee resolution in the future. We had talked about the mileage. There were some things in the past about spouses being on the same committee or family members, because when we did the economic development committee, we kind of had a family pushing the agenda as a majority of the committee. And at the time, council was like, that's not good. It's probably still not good. We don't currently have it going on though.
We legally can't do that though.
Yeah, so,
So there's a couple other things that when we have nothing else to do,
yeah.
we'll amend it.
Yeah.
Propose some amendment.
So that's why I just put in the future. Downtown Trees Council's meeting on this at the end of August. It's yellow. We've I think got all but 2 surveys back. They were ones we had to mail to business property owners that aren't in town. So we'll have all that for your August 23rd meeting, I believe it is. The old dump site closure with the state, I discussed that about Miss Odom's property. City Hall beautification. So this was one from the Mario Council got put on the list during Mayor Leonetti's council. He wanted to do a lot of prettying up of the outside landscaping of City Hall. It's kind of the last thing any of us think about. So it's red. There's no movement on it. The guys mow the weeds. Tim tweaks the roadies. But as far as like it being a high priority, we keep it as best we can. And it's really for a rainy day when we don't have a ton going on. I think it'd be a great project to start later.
We have made big progress since then though.
Yeah.
Painting and there's
Yeah.
new things planted. So there has been sprucing up. It's just that
Just not a,
landscaping hasn't been.
the landscaping kind of fell. We just maintain what we have. We have not been doing a beautification project. The cemetery additional bollards installation, that came on at the same time, so that's why it's on your list. The cemetery committee hasn't pushed this again since that time, and they haven't formally recommended anything to council. What that was going to be is additional bollards, 2 bollards in between each corner, and then potentially some sort of chain. One of the things that we talked to the cemetery committee about when they put this on was maybe waiting until the road is actually improved before you kind of put those final icing on the cake, so to speak. So it could come back. The committee could decide they want to bring it back to council, but that's why it's on here.
Is that the 16-foot wide paving you're talking about?
Where'd you get 16 feet?
City council meeting.
Was it when I pitched?
Funding for
So that,
paving.
yeah, I pitched it to Betsy. It didn't get chosen. North-South connection got chosen.
Okay.
Pitched both of those ideas. RFP for audit services. So we've looked into finding cheaper options for our auditor. Currently, all the municipal auditing firms are running about the same rate.
Imagine that.
But we'll keep our eyes open. Downtown garbage cans, those are in progress. The deadline that we've set upon ourselves is October 2nd. The Saturday of Salmon Festival is when we want to invite Travel Oregon to come out and see all the improvements completed. Their deadline is November 30th. So we're trying to get it done a month, well, almost 2 months ahead, which we think we can still hit. We're waiting on a couple more little parts for the drain in the flower box. We ran out and then nobody around here had them, so we had to order 4 more little drains for the flower boxes.
So I listened in on the CZ Trail meeting last week. They talked about, I don't know if it's the executive director, anyhow, whoever's high in Travel Oregon is coming out in August, I thought.
Well, so that's,
Have you
yes.
noticed that too?
So the mural group is having end of August mural day where Hands on Art's going to do like sidewalk chalk with the kids and stuff. So they are coming out for that mural day.
Oh, okay.
But when we have them come out for the completion of the drip lines, the baskets, blah, 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 we're inviting them separately from the mural because it's Portland Street Art Alliance that has invited them to the mural day. Yeah.
When are the garbage cans going to be set? I was under the impression they were done, built.
Well, they're built, but they had to be stained and sealed inside and out.
Public Works, or is that?
No, Mitch. That's Mitch,
Oh,
the new city employee.
I just got to get stained then.
Well, no, he's stained the inside and out, then he's painting deck over in the boxes. And then the boxes have a drain with a hose that goes down. And then he has to mount the dog boxes and the artwork. And then they get put in place.
You have a goal date for those to be set?
Yesterday, but I don't have the metal work.
Sounds like pretty.
Waste management is, so I think I told all of you that Waste Management had an employee that lost his temper, got mad at the garbage can and put the whole thing in the truck and threw away the metal art and everything. And so they're making me new metal art. I don't have it yet. They're replicating the fish and the elk in flat plate.
All of them or just one?
No, I needed 3 of one, 5 of the other.
They threw that many away?
No, they threw one away. They're making them all make up for
Oh, they
it.
took one of our garbage cans.
I know, you got to.
Yeah, so I said, what would it cost? And Nick's like, I'm just doing it. Just let us do
We
it.
get new ones.
These are complicated garbage cans.
They are.
Gee.
So,
Hey.
I-
What was it I just read? It was garbage cans. Was it LA? $20,000 to $40,000 a piece.
It's just city money.
Designer garbage cans.
Oh, wonderful.
Doing so many to pick
Wonderful.
what they want to have.
Hey, Louis Vuitton.
yeah.
I'm pretty proud about
Their
it.
coach, yeah.
Finally got a grant.
So we did make some tweaks to the design to keep them from having issues. And then we did make the openings smaller. You cannot fit a kitchen garbage sack of garbage through the opening
Yeah.
because that's what we're trying to avoid is people just taking their stuff and dumping it. So that's going on with garbage cans. The sidewalk curb and gutter change, council's waiting. This is a planning commission to be, which,
It's at planning, it will be a planning commission.
to review and recommend, and then it'll come back to you guys to do the code change for the garbage, or I mean, for the sidewalk fee in lieu, or put it in code requirement in the Title IX. Memorial trees and memorial stone purchases and placements. All of the stones that have been purchased are in place. So people have been putting in memory of, and then someone's name when they bought a tree at Spencer. And if they purchase one from me, it's installed right in front of their tree. We're done with that. As more people want to purchase them, I'm still trying to find that same exact thing because I like it so much, and the customers liked it because they could put 3 lines of text. It's like back ordered. So I have to find a couple more firms that maybe somebody's got some of them, but they're back ordered as of right now. So hopefully no one comes in to buy one. I know. I said JR's on the back order wait list.
Wait.
The new parks info and hours sign, I don't know if you've noticed, but slowly the kiosks at the different parks have been replaced with the city logo and the new hours and
I saw the Spencer Park one.
yeah. And then Dewey Pool has one, Hawkins has one. Aura and Shea are just getting their name and then a small sign that says how often the park's open. But we're not doing the full-on kiosk for Shea because
You don't need it.
Yeah.
I have a question about the new CZ signs.
Mhm.
It makes it look like it's specifically for the trail. It doesn't say public parking. So is somebody who's not participating in the trail, are they going to get a fine for?
no, it's public
It
parking.
doesn't say, it says CZZ trail parking. It doesn't say community or public or.
No, so all of them say that. None of them. And Banks actually is now networking with 5-Star to let people park in 5-Star's parking while they're closed because they have not enough parking there. But yeah, they all just say trailhead parking. We still have across the blacktopped Old West Oregon lot.
Right.
That's not even on here, but that still needs to be striped. The approach needs to be cut.
In the city.
Yeah, the approach needs to be cut into the curb and gutter there on Adams. Some signage, that's all.
Did anybody notice how many cars those movie people got in that lot? I looked at that. I bet you there were 75 cars in that lot. And sometimes without knowing how to park, there's only like 10 that's crowded.
Yeah,
That lot,
Cars.
I thought that lot had been leased by that business at 2,000 a month or something. It looked like they're taking it over now with trailers and big trucks parked there all day.
what business?
The mechanic business there, Reggie's old place.
There's a trailer in there right now.
They're
Yeah.
taking over that lot slowly but surely after they do donuts all over it. So I already talked to you about that guy.
Yeah,
There are some motorhomes and stuff like that that stay there all the time.
No, I'm talking about.
they stay there,
So am I.
Oh, okay. Parking there.
but not more than 72 hours.
Well,
Well, Chiefs,
Drive by there.
but no, I'm saying that Chiefs made them repeatedly move because the most you can park on a public site is 72 hours before you got to go.
Right.
Come back some other time. So there probably have been ones on there almost up until that, and then they move because they don't want to get towed or something. Where are we at? The Halem River Park Campground. So in the budget is funded to put in a playground apparatus. The Parks Committee has identified the elements they want as part of the apparatus we purchase, and then it's on to staff to find an apparatus in the budget that has all those elements. So that's what we're working on. Build and install the parking stations. That is completed. The newest stations at Spencer Park, there currently is no other stations slated to be put in.
how's the revenue on that?
I meant to ask them today and I forgot, but I'll get you guys a report for the second and see how much we've gotten there. And the tricky part is a lot of the current use, I think at Jamboree, you might see revenue from people paying that don't live here, but the current use right now with the baseball games and stuff is all locals that probably have stickers, so they're never going to pay. National Park Service sign up on the school district tot lot. So if you've ever driven by the Catholic Church, there's that weird ugly strip with the pit toilet and a couple trees and a picnic table, a pit toilet. It's the little building with
Oh, yeah.
pit toilets.
Did you ever send him that letter we talked about?
Yeah, I don't know that they're ever going to build the thing. So one option is I just have Mitch build the elements, the step elements, because I've been waiting for 2 years for Aaron to have the forestry group do it. My own daughter was in the every forestry class. She wants to go into forestry. And I said, pitch it to your teacher. Why is your teacher not talking about this? You guys need to build these things. It's just no movement. So I think it's probably better off just to get it off our plate, put in a couple picnic tables, couple stump steps for kids' agility, take some pictures, send it off and call it good.
One thing the district has done is Debbie has really cleaned that area up, weed eated it, and it's very,
It does
they
look
cut the
better.
dead trees out.
Yeah.
And they really made it nice.
Yeah, National Park Service, I don't know why the people in the powers positions when the flood happened, why they agreed to keep that, but they were required to keep it because Spencer Park that was up there, old baseball fields, their money was used to make that. So then when we moved Spencer Park down, they were like, nope, you're going to keep something.
So whose responsibility is it?
It's ours, the city's.
Oh, it's not the schools.
No.
Oh, I thought we were waiting on the school to do that talk.
Well, we were waiting on the school because they agreed to do the agility elements with the forestry class. Because I tried to send it in and say, this is the tot lot, and the powers that be in the past had promised that as if parents with toddlers were going to hang out there waiting for their kids to get out of school. So they wanted the toilets, they wanted picnic tables, they wanted agility things for toddlers. I don't know.
It's a toilet to nowhere.
Yeah.
Bus boss wouldn't have liked that.
It's a
The bus
COVID
boss
toilet.
wouldn't have liked that because
The
the
cleanest,
buses come in way before school gets out.
Oh, I know. It was just not well thought out by the people in power. They were just saying yes to get moving, to get the wetlands delineated down below, all of it. They were just trying to cross the,
So when are you going to do the tot lot this summer?
yeah, I'm thinking we just have Mitch make some, because they're pretty easy. I've looked up some designs. You know, kind of bury a stump or you you get a long beam and you post it up on little stumps so they could try and walk 6 inches off the ground, some little things.
Those
Couldn't be done.
rounds still.
Can't get hurt too bad. The rounds are still there.
The rounds are still there because that was the rounds Aaron was going to use, yeah. Okay, so the second page. The new projects for current things that are already happening with staff. So I just want to give you guys the big ugly of everything that's going on. So Weed Avenue, the service to Bateman's property out there on Fairway is there weirdly, 2 houses are on this weird small main that was put in forever ago. And now it's experiencing diminished capacity and friction. So they're not getting good pressure at their homes. There's a way to hook them to the main closer, kind of a little reroute, and decommission that main. So that's what that water service on Weed Avenue is, if you hear anyone talk about it. The sewer line extension on Spencer. So we had slated to pave Spencer in 2021 using the small cities allotment money. There's from when we applied and when the Mimi Morissette partitioned the parcels that she purchased and owns, the sewer doesn't go all the way to her parcels. So we don't cut through new pavement. We're going to extend that sewer line to her little punch out road, and then her sewers can just connect to that and finish their own driveway. And what we pave won't have to be cut through.
How long is that?
How long is it? I want to say it's like 78 feet.
80 feet?
So we're just going, currently it ends with like a clean out.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna do another, take that clean out, extend to that, and then do a clean out at the other end. So that's some of that piping that's over there is for that too. Smoke testing. So Chris has got all the smoke testing bids back. It came in super reasonable.
Wow.
So we are doing the Corey Hill section that's part of the Springboard CDBG to catch the I&I that's causing Clatsop manhole on Weed to be a Bellagio fountain in the winter. And potentially we're going to have them here for a week, and we're going to have them do the OA Hill stuff that's coming to Pump Station 3 because it's not even running right now. And in the winter, it's running 24 hours a day. So we know that there's tons of rainwater getting into Pump Station 3 in the rain season. And we want to identify where the biggest culprits of that are. So we're hoping $15,000 will cover it. They're about $3,300 a day to do their thing. They figured it would take them 2 days for the Corey Hill smoke testing. And so we were thinking doing the other area because it's a little bit larger with all the veins over here, that a week would cover that. So we will be coming to you guys for the ARPA money and trying to get the funding set aside for that infrastructure work.
Would you explain to me, what is smoke testing?
So currently what's going on is people have their rain drains hooked to their sewer line.
Right?
So it causes a few problems. In heavy downpour of rain, the sewer system's inundated with water that it never would be.
Right?
Then that causes overflows like it Clatsop every winter. We're treating that and getting filling out forms and trying to get DEQ not to fine us for spilling raw sewage. The other flip side is it doesn't really help us in the treatment component because it's diluted. The sewer is diluted.
They use smoke to find leaks?
They basically clog up all the holes. They send smoke up, and if we
Okay.
see it come up someone's rain drain, they get a notice that they need to disconnect.
Yeah, I wasn't getting the connection between the water and the smoke testing.
Yeah, so it comes up and,
The sewer. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
and so it'll look like they've elected a new pope if they've hooked their rain drains.
So, we've been talking about this in the council, and we talked about lining some manholes, and we had like 60,000 in there, and then we talked about not doing it. Somebody else was gonna do, now we're back to smoke testing was off and on. Can you just remind me of why the smoke testing was off and on?
So without the bigger formal CDBG project, the smoke testing was going to be an outlay of cash that we would have had to do, but we didn't have a way to fix it. So once we got the CDBG money to design the fix, then our skin in the game is testing it to identify where those problem areas are so that the design is more efficient. Does that make sense, what I've said?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, sometimes.
I understand better than I did.
So ultimately, the smoke testing will also show where the worst, we have identified the worst manholes, the 20 some we would love to slip line. This will even just confirm.
I know we talked about doing it ourselves. They did some research, and Jeff said he can do it himself, save a lot of money, and we're gonna do it ourselves. And
When it came, that part isn't the hard part. It's the notification. It's all of the people, the flagging, the smoke as it's coming up. So if we see someone, this company kind of is all in one, right? So they'll test it. They'll test this quadrant. They'll send out notifications saying we're testing, right? They'll test this quadrant. Then they'll go tell all the people that are connected, we've seen the smoke, you're connected, you're gonna have to disconnect, all of that. So it's kind of an all-in-one. The testing isn't the hard part. It's all the logistics around the rest of it that was gonna be too much for our guys and the crew. I mean, we have 4 guys.
How do we do the verification that they're disconnected?
So that's one thing that I've been looking into because most places give them like 6 months to disconnect. And it's just through like a permitting and an inspection.
Somebody's got to inspect.
Yeah, so it would be
I
like,
see your pipe before you bury it, it's coming from the gutter.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's an inspection.
And I think we've also, because we don't have the storm drain system completed up there, some of these people are going to have a longer time period till we provide that storm drain ditch to get
I was gonna say,
into.
where are you gonna put it? Out in the street?
Well,
I don't want to do
if
that.
if they're anywhere near Nehalem, that ditch still has capacity. If they're on the Bridge Street side, we've got work to do. Right? I mean, there's just not the continuity of the ditching the same.
Just running off in the canyon and up in Bear Creek.
Well, and if they're on the other side of Nehalem, that side can go down to that Krebs property that we were gifted, that we turned into kind of a storm wetland swale over there that's kind of on Rose Avenue past Nehalem, below Third. I'll explain it better than that.
So would Bridge have to come down, connect to the weed that's gonna go out to the Nehalem? Eventually?
So Bridge comes down and comes out of a pipe right here, right on the other side of Rob's
Yeah, into Bear Creek.
and the Bear Creek.
But, right, so we'd be putting more water into Bear Creek if we unhook from the sewer system. We're spending money out here to do the opposite, so.
Well, it will, that's the thing Dale's saying. So depending on those sections, we may give someone a reprieve to not connect for 3 years till we get it figured out on the Bridge side. What you're ultimately trying to do is lessen the I coming into the system. So if you can do a good chunk of that with Nehalem or get it to the Rose Avenue Krebs wetland, that benefits us. But
We think a lot of it though is running in manholes just from groundwater. It can be a tremendous amount.
from grout popping out.
Right.
Yeah.
The failed manholes and
Yeah.
just pouring it, coming
Yeah,
up.
so that's smoke testing. Basically, it will come up any little crack. So if you see smoke coming out of grass or some weird spot near a manhole, you know that manhole's got to be dealt with. It will, the smoke will travel like a gopher hole, right? It'll just come up out of the grass and you'd see that that's where water is infiltrating.
Well, hopefully, yeah, but water is can force through with hydraulic pressure and smoke isn't gonna force its way up and pop out of the ground.
But I think the crews have been surveying our.
Yeah, so
manholes, so we know the manholes.
Yeah,
that
so
need
a
attention.
year and a half ago, we came up with a manhole inspection manual and sheets. And so they have to go inspect for all these things. They have to draw where the pipes are coming in on a diagram. And then we have a binder that's encapsulated all that data. And then Ben takes it, puts it on GIS with the manhole and then has that reference of this is what's going on here. They have to take pictures. It's this whole big manual we came up with.
But then we were talking about
Slip line.
line, but then I thought somebody was saying some type of pressure grout or something. They came up with that.
Well, there was two options that neither one's been fully cooked. One's a pressure grout, specific time of year, because if you are anywhere close to the rainy season, it doesn't have time to solidify before it's pushing back in through the seam. So slip lining's one option, expensive, but it's kind of foolproof. And then the other one's that pressure grouting, certain timing.
How many manholes are we talking about?
I think we've identified 20 that we would love to do, about 15 up in this area that we probably have to do some sort of treatment.
They talking about a fiberglass spray in them?
It's Seymour Pipe, and Jeff would have to tell you exactly what I'm not,
Seymour Pipe?
that's the name of the guy in this company, Seymour Pipe.
Well, he designed it.
Yeah.
And again, we probably want to do these in steps because we do some and then we see what our results are because we got data of what our flows are.
Yeah, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
Doing the worst, like spreading it over a few years so that you're not having one hit on the budget or the rate or whatever. You're incrementally kind of building the success of it.
What's the cost to redo a manhole?
I want to say it was like 2,800 per. If it's deeper, it's more, but the standard depth was like 2,800 per. We had originally a couple of years ago put like 25,000 and we thought we could get like maybe 12 of them done, but
I thought we had 60,000 in there 2 years ago to start doing those.
I'd have to look. I don't remember.
Contract
I don't remember that big.
My thinking back was 50,000 a year for 10 years.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
there was $500,000 we were thinking.
Total, if you did them all.
All of them
Yeah.
now. That's when
Right.
we started going, oh, maybe we might want to look at some other low hanging fruit first.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we had a major rainstorm and some people did some pump power cost and some more figuring and found out that we were going to be wasting money doing that many manholes to start with. We need a better idea directly where the water's coming from. Because it seemed like it was only when it downpoured that we was getting excess flow.
Mhm.
So I was thinking it was more roof water than it is street.
Can we monitor the flow per day
That comes into the,
sewer?
yes,
Okay, so
we know how much comes in.
SCADA data.
you should know how many gallons of water then, because people aren't changing their sewer habits.
Right.
Because it rains hard, right?
Right.
Are you talking like 1,000,000 gallons extra? Or?
Oh, I
I'd have
can't
to-
remember that downpour.
Yeah.
Remember we had that,
3-4 days of hard rain?
but that too, but
A day of hard rain.
we had that one,
Geysers.
just like a cloudburst came through here, dumped over an inch of rain.
Yeah.
And we had them pull the SCADA data.
Oh,
Man, you could see it. It was considerable. So it's like the ground was just like this time of year. The ground's dry. You aren't going to get infiltration in the ground.
Right.
It had to be coming off of gutters or somewhere or coming running into a storm.
Right. Something's
manhole.
low set or something.
But
You
so
think
that's
you could
why.
pop the manholes and look in there and see excess flow during a rainstorm and say, well, look at all that water right there.
And
It's just
sometimes.
where, yeah, it's just where it's coming from.
Yeah.
You'd have to be chasing them up the hill and then hoping yeah.
So at the bottom of the hill, you can see you got a lot of water coming in.
Yeah.
Right. But you're only seeing what the main pipe's flowing.
Yeah.
The smoke testing is going to be going off
Right.
to the individual houses. And we thought that a lot of that water that was getting in there was the rain drains into the sewer.
Well, it probably is.
That's why we figured the smoke testing first before we start lining manholes, because that will give us more direct information. And if we can get rid of the rainwater off the roof, it will buy us more time to do the manholes or know that spending the money on manholes is the right thing to do.
So we didn't budget for that. You're wanting to take it out of some funds? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so we didn't know, it never made sense to do the smoke testing very far away from some sort of project funding because they would have potentially made us redo it to have it be close enough to their funding to be used as evidence. So we got the funding. We didn't know, Angie was sure she wasn't going to get funded because it's her first CDBG she ever did kind of on her own with a little bit of help, but really her own project. And so I sent her a thing and I'm like, congratulations, I just got this email. And she's like, what? And so it wasn't in this budget because we didn't know we would get funded.
That's right. You told me about that. I forget how much it was.
The design is 320.
so when you mentioned Chris did the smoke testing, is that Chris from Seymour Pipes or our Chris?
Our Chris, working with Ben, took a map,
Oh,
identified the areas, identified the extra areas if it was a good deal that he would want to do for other issues and got bids. And the lowest qualified bid was $3,300 a day. And they thought it would take them 2 days to do the section that we needed for the grant. And then another day to do higher up and a couple more days to do over there.
cool.
So are we thinking it's mostly the older neighborhoods that are tied in on the hills, Corey and OA?
Because it's weird that the newer ones just seem to either discharge off onto their own property or through the weep holes into the.
I know my house wasn't tied in and it's 1929. It was never tied in.
It's like a weird, almost like,
60s,
that's what I was going to say. It's like that period, because that Second Avenue and all those kind of houses that are right there, you know they're going to be connected.
There's a lot of spring water up there.
There is, but that's not
Used to
getting,
go right into our house. We were at 976 and it used to just right into our place.
yeah. So that's what's going on with the smoke testing.
Okay.
ADA ramps at Umatilla and River, the design is complete and approved by ODOT. I'm waiting on John Swart. He's been very busy with his baseball. And so he just needs to send some insurance stuff to ODOT and then he can, we can pop those out and he can replace them per their approved drawings. The other thing we've requested, the next one down, is we've already asked Lower Columbia Engineering to do the design and send it to ODOT for the Spencer connection. So where Spencer comes down, there's like the end of the school sidewalk right there at Spencer. That's going to have to be ADA, that ramp.
It isn't.
No.
They
Where
allowed
Joe's at?
that in.
Well, it's ADA, but it's not for their new thing that has to have a crossing across the highway and the rumble strips.
And here you are, you're putting a crossing on a corner.
Yeah. So
Wheelchair crossing.
Lower Columbia Engineering's working on that design, so seamlessly with the paving, we can get that done and not be held up like we have been with
Yeah,
River and
well,
Umatilla.
that's a good heads up on that.
Small city allotment, so we're slated and we're getting bids for the little bit more than half street improvement on Weed, the paving of Spencer to the end there, and then Alabama from Spencer to Locker. That's what's, we
I
got.
thought we weren't going to get that money for the paving this year or
This is our current money. We can't apply for 2022 because of this. This is
2020.
the money they've already given us and we can, use.
So it's 2021 money.
Yeah.
When do you look for that to happen? In August sometime?
So they're getting bids right now. Typically, most of the guys are saying they're scheduling now in September, which is no big deal.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not going to hurt us to have it due in September, but that's what the bids are coming
Cool.
back. And they'll be the lowest qualified bid.
So our guys or our contractors comfortable getting that drain line in and Spencer?
Yeah, we've been we were just waiting on the pipe and it just got delivered on Friday. So yeah, they're ready to go. Robert's going to help do some of the dig out, different things.
The only other question I had on that, I think there's a hydrant pretty close to that property on the end of Spencer. So I think we got water there. I know we talked sewer, but
Oh, well,
Water.
that's a good thing. We
and
should
what about
double-
natural gas? Where's that? You know, I mean,
Yeah, double check the rest of the
yeah,
Utilities.
the
utilities.
utilities, because last thing I want to see is
Yeah.
picking up fresh
Right.
paint.
Happens every time.
Oh,
And then it looks like Nickerson, clunk, clunk,
well,
clunk,
it
clunk.
downgrades your street
Yes.
rating.
It's hard to patch it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So then 41 is the Maple Street sewer line. So we had a call that their sewer wasn't working. And when we went and investigated, the homeowner had built their yard debris bonfire on top of the ground right above their sewer line. Their sewer line had been slip lined. And so the plastic just went. So, and it's that pipe that comes right across. You can see it if you're right here on Bear Creek, you can see it. It goes from the Maple houses across and then down. So they were able to break up and jet the chunks of plastic. Those have all been removed, but it needs to be re-slip lined because the ductile that it isn't code or needs whatever.
When did this pop up?
Oh,
I haven't heard about it.
2020. The damage was 2020. We finally got it fixed last year and then it's just been on the list to do. It's not a super hectic one, but it's ultimately to forget about it. We need to finish and slip line it.
The footage on that?
I'd have to ask Jeff. It's just from a distance from the home across the creek because the section isn't the whole line. It's where they had to jet it chunk. Basically, at first I thought it was concrete, but it was just melted plastic. So I'd have to ask Jeff of the actual,
One heck of a hot bonfire.
well, it's very shallow.
Is it shallow?
The sewer is shallow there, so
Jeff back to backhoe digging and all that stuff?
not fully. He's still
He's got a long
He was
list.
on the
going.
backhoe today.
potentially being in surgery in the fall.
Oh, geez.
We're trying to keep everything rolling,
After hunting season.
maybe.
That's
Yeah. The read board, I meant reader board. So we are getting posts and plates made for the 2 uprights. And then we're going to place the conduit and install the reader board sign, which is kind of a collaboration between fire department, city, school, and Vernonia boosters.
Or we found posts.
We did find posts.
Good.
Lions Club donated that too.
Oh, to the reader board?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think I did.
Lions Club.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying the messages are coming from those agencies or
Right.
whatever. Those are the 4, yeah. Electrical meter, we have slated to have just our own electrical counter meter put in line with Mr. Sterner's trailer. So we don't have to debate how many kilowatt hours his trailer's pulling at the lake because he's got his food truck down there.
Did he finally get it down there?
He did.
It's there.
Wow.
We were talking about using some of that funding though, right, for that maybe?
Yeah.
So just in our travels, we found that some of the places, people that stayed long-term where we stayed, they had electric meters that they had to go around and read themselves monthly, and they charged for what they used.
So that's one of the things with that upgrade of putting in the new Anderson Park sites, that would be the time to do that because we're potentially, most of those are 30 amp. Most trailers now can go up to 50 amp. So we'd be pulling all new lines into those junction boxes, and that'd be the perfect time to do that kind of metering in the system and then start a brand new way of doing it.
Policy.
But yeah, that's on our
Base fee per month plus
whatever
extra
extra.
on top.
Yeah. So that's in our brains for when we do that project to potentially have that happen at the same time. Travel and grant items, the fountain, electricity to the poles, drip lines, pavers, murals. Our goal is still October 2nd. Hydrant replacement on First and Clatsop, that's just one Jeff's got going on. There's a damaged hydrant out there he needs to replace. Louisiana has a pressure reducing valve that's no longer needed with the amount of houses that have come online. So they're going to be removing that pressure reducing valve. Nickerson sidewalk, we're asking John Stewart to finish the sidewalk that is along Schrader's property line there that's currently just gravel when he does the ramps. What else? Dog park water. So the dog park group has asked for a while now to get a water spigot or something there for dog park watering. There's the line in Ivy is not the right one. So we're going to have to come off the highway line and just kind of go down the tree line near the fence to put the water in because the Ivy one, Jeff's really doesn't want to tap into that.
That's one of those ones you don't want
Want to disturb.
Yeah. So that's on our list to get the water service installed and then finish graveling and clearing the debris from the parking lot, which is directly across the street. That city parcel is going to be like 4 parking spots for dog park people. Crack sealing everywhere. That's ongoing. They've done up on 4th. They have a whole kind of plan marked out, and Public Works will see a little bit more about all the information tomorrow. Louisiana water main upgrade. So in thinking forward with the north-south connection, the different contractors have had to replace the water line that they're affecting because it's concrete asbestos. So Mr. Purdue replaced his section of the main there on Louisiana. There's not going to be the full build out before we're doing the north-south connection. So we're just going to go in and since it's gravel, we're going to continue that replacement till we hit good stuff and are away from concrete asbestos prior to the north-south connection getting paved. That's the Jeffrey plans.
What do you mean by concrete asbestos?
That's the kind of pipe it is.
That's what it is. Concrete with asbestos in it. Yeah.
Are there strands coming out of the pipe? Is it causing a problem?
No, it just, it weakens over time. It can pop off. We had a ton of problems up on Bridge where a root got in and then it just started dumping, this one up here was sewer, but it started dumping dirt, like a little pile of dirt that would sit in the bottom of the pipe. So stuff would come down and hit the little pile and slowly build a backup until we had to jet it out. So it's just not something you want to leave in the ground, especially if you're going to pave. You want to get a new product in there and not have to think about it for another
And
few
with all the
years.
development up there, there's concern of connecting new pipes to the old concrete asbestos
So
pipe.
that's why we've been making the developers
Oh,
upgrade their sections.
nice to do that.
So is most of Louisiana then got to get replaced?
The southern part. So I think he did between G and H and then he'll do,
Well, we would do the rest of it.
but
Is that what you're
doesn't he have one more block to do?
If he develops it before we do.
Yeah. So it's kind of a game. Who develops first?
Doesn't seem like that should, it's that old.
Is it in the road or alongside the road for paving and stuff?
It's in the road.
Oh, so it needs to be roll ripped out before we do that.
Yeah.
So just,
Right.
yeah.
That's going to cover the 400 grand, cover that too? I don't think so.
No, so this is not the 400 grand. This is our public works doing it.
Right.
So it's piping and time.
And we have the pipe, is that what you said?
No, we have to get it. So when I brought back to Jeff, hey, council wants to know your ugly infrastructure wish list. These are some of the elements that,
That could be out of this new funding.
yes, these are some of the things that
It's
he,
got to get done if we're going to put that road through.
yeah, he's got on his
Yeah.
brain. Yeah. So that's why I'm bringing it to you to bring you up to speed on it. Louisiana street signs. So all the letter streets needed stop signs and street signs. So those are ordered and getting put in. New picnic tables. So we had in the budget to get some additional picnic tables because we're kind of low. We have old wooden ones that somebody built that was really nice, but your arms are like up here when you sit at it, the chest part's up here. So we're slowly retiring those. So we're going with the galvanized metal kind of ski legs and the 2x10s.
Are they still good?
Which ones?
Well, the ones that we're replacing, are they still serviceable?
Yeah, we use them all until they're not serviceable. But what I'm saying is enough of them have retired or had broken pieces and they had to get checked that we're replacing the inventory with 10 more. And it's pressure treated. They don't soak up the water. They
Probably
don't.
lighter.
Yeah, and you can basically, one person can push it because it's basically on curled ski legs, metal.
Right. Oh, those are nice. Those are very nice.
Lighter too.
Yeah, so that's happening. The peace tree, so I'm still trying to get from Michael Calhoun how I get the application to get the peace tree, because he said he would help me figure out, I couldn't figure it out on the
I have
website.
an email from him.
Oh, good,
I'm
okay.
working with them.
And then we're going to be preparing kind of that top, little bit of a landing area up at the top of the cut of Ora Bullmeyer with what we talked about, getting in place the security, maybe some 4-inch posts, some square paneling. So when the peace tree comes in the fall, it will have a place for the tree to go and maybe a plaque, because that's what they're requiring. So we're working on all that stuff. Replanting the borrow site. So it's on our list to secure saplings. Counselor Webb is helping me to get the area that we're replanting, and I'm working on contracts so that the minute we're ready, we can get contracts lined up so that the winter planting.
Where's the Barrow site?
So it's down by the sewer lagoons where we borrowed all of the dirt, mined the dirt to put on the lagoon tops of the roads and elevate the lagoon dikes. And so part of it's a little bit of a wetland, but we had logged there. So ODF's going to make us replant, and our replant didn't take. So that's the project that Counselor Webb brought to you about, using a cat to furrow in and then plant.
So Barrow's not a person. Barrow is moving.
I don't know if I even spelled it right. We called it the borrow site.
Borrow the dirt, borrow.
I might have spelled it wrong. Needs to know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We talk about those trees just for a second.
Which trees?
Now, when we planted 2 years ago with Mike Peel, we did about half of it or 3/4 of it.
We did what John Kraus wanted. So we did what was minimally required.
Okay, but then I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, we chose, or you chose not to spray and they died.
No, so the problem with it is that the timing was kind of wrong for Mike to spray. It was in the wet season when it's just going to get washed off. There was never a dry,
But it wasn't in his contract.
it wasn't in his
to come
contract.
back and spray.
No, it wasn't.
So we kind of wasted our money there, and I don't think we should do that again.
Well, this time you're basically going to potentially brush rake it ahead of time, cut the furrows in, leaving an exposed ditch, right? And the tree will have the winter to grow and not have vermin trying to eat it. And then you would go back in and do some sort of treatment without killing your saplings in the next season, is how I understand it.
So we still won't spray again.
You may the following season,
Okay.
because then stuff would be trying to come up again.
I'm
Or you
all,
may just have
Spot
guys,
spray then.
yeah, or you may just have, depending on the sizing, you may just have someone go in there and weed whack the heck
I'm
out
not
of it.
against not
Right.
spraying. I mean, if we can not spray, that's great. But if we're going to waste our money again, that
Yeah.
seems kind of silly.
Well, and we didn't totally waste our money. There's still, we had some
30%?
survival. Well, I don't know how many were planted originally.
To know the number.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what we started with. If we'd have went through there and did a survival flagging through there and documented it, then we would have know what that percentage is. But I think Bruce and I were thinking we were lucky if we got 50%.
Oh, so we got, I was thinking, I thought we
There were
lost 70.
trees in there when Bruce and I walked it.
Whether or not they survive the
Like,
heat. Ooh,
Yeah,
man, even my huge
although being with the grass around.
may have done
probably
it.
shouldered them.
Yeah.
The deer might eat some of them too, huh? Or is it just,
Deer
I
thingy.
haven't, they eat everything else.
Yeah,
Elk are more
yeah.
destructive to the trees, and especially cedars.
so why does the spraying, it's just the grass grows up and they don't have a chance? Is that what happens?
They
Yeah.
have to fight for the light.
You know, if we'd have planted that right after
Lyda did it.
When there was just dirt out there?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have probably been way ahead of the game, but we were hung up because I don't think contracts were closed or
Right.
something. And we got put off about 3 years, I think, before we planted it. So by then, it's
Wow.
grassing and
Well, and
brushing.
that's the thing too, is that there's still the piles are just disintegrating now, but there were supposed to be torched off piles that are still sitting there. And it was kind of I think the guy intended to do well for us and then
Ice might have killed them too.
didn't end up doing it.
Yeah.
That's another thing, the grass allows the mice to make nests, and they ring the trees. They eat the bark around the trees and chew on them, and then that.
Yeah. That's probably what happened.
The spraying keeps the mice from killing them, as well as gives them a little bit more water. They're not fighting to survive the brush.
That's kind of the idea of the furrow. Is, you got an open bare spot we'll be planting in, so the predators will be after the mice. Plus the furrow is going to be somewhat of a water collector too, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're just taking it from what we've seen Bill Thorpe and Archie Das do in hayfields.
Yeah, and they have full
And
stands.
they had great success. So
Yeah.
They basically took a plow, turned the furrow out and then
Right.
planted in it.
Well, I'm no tree planting expert. I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
I'm not either.
Well, that's why I'm explaining a little bit more about getting rid of the debris that the mice eats it,
Yeah.
as well as it loses water and,
It's like planting your garden in a
Yeah.
weed patch, huh?
yes,
Not gonna do that well.
Pretty much.
yeah.
So that's what's going on with the Barrow site. The ARPA funding, that's the American Recovery Plan Act. We are slated to get $460,000 from the feds in 2 years, 230,000 this year, 230,000 2022. We are required to spend it all by the end of 2024. You guys had that first work session. We're bringing back to you public works projects, a presentation for the asset mapping when you schedule your next work session on the ARPA. And then kind of hopefully have that one really kind of solidify what we think the bulk of the things we're gonna purchase or use the money for this year. We would bring it to you in a council meeting as a recommendation to move forward with these elements using that funding. And then staff would start busting out whatever you guys have determined. Vernonia Lake bathroom repairs. The bathrooms need overhaul at the lake. That wall in between is sheetrock. It really needs to be block so it doesn't absorb everything because that's what it's done for years and it's disgusting. The face boards on the trim will have to be replaced. The old signs will be removed. The doors will be redone. Mitch is kind of putting together a project list for the things he's able to do himself and the costs associated with that. He has a computer here at City Hall, so he comes and does research. And then things that are above him, we're networking with plumbers, stuff like that. Anderson Power bathroom shower upgrade. So we did just fix the mixing valve, which went south after 22 years. So the showers work great, but now we need to fix the inside. We're thinking kind of a wainscoting of the similar product that the Dewey Pool is coated in, but works better, works for showers so that it can be hosed off, cleaned, and it doesn't wear away the way the paint or the paint with the little specks in it that they've done. Because it's really hard for Bob and Dory, and it was hard for Adam and Melinda to feel like it was, they knew they were cleaning it, but it never looked clean. And so I have the information from the Lions Club for the company and I sent an email. We're just starting kind of discussing it because it is kind of an extra thing that wasn't currently happening. So I'm not really.
I think Anderson's going to end up being a little more money than we kind of budgeted.
Well, what were we talking about Dewey Pool costs?
20,000 we spent on that. It was a polyurethane
Yeah.
application.
So Mitch is working up the square footage. If we did a wainscoting and then just redid the painting of above, because really the soaking and the water moisture is from about here down on the shower. So he's working up the square footage of that so I can send it to the company, but it's not a ton of square footage. Those cubicles are
Yeah.
5 feet by.
Oh, okay. I was talking about the flooring and stuff we were going to fix and some other things there.
The paint, isn't it?
It's concrete. The flooring's all concrete. So it's just in those shower cavities. We were basically going to do from about 4 or 5 feet down in the floor.
Okay.
Like a wainscoting of a sealed product and then paint. There are some cleaning to the vents and stuff, but that wasn't what I thought in budget. You guys had talked about 5,000 specifically for the showers. And the rest of it was going to be maintenance items you just wanted fixed.
I thought that flooring was everything in the floor. I mean, when you walk in, it looks like they put something in there about that thick, some kind of a coating throughout that whole bathroom showers and all.
I think it's all that paint with it's like that garage floor paint.
Yeah, there's something else under. If you look right by the door jamb, it's like this thick, almost like they poured something in there, then maybe they painted over it later. I don't know, but I know you talked about sandblasting and redoing some epoxy floor.
We used a hydroblasting.
Yeah.
They use water, high pressure.
Maybe we could just paint the rest of them and just do the shower area. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of, Mitch is doing kind of an inventory of what that section of each shower square footage is. If it's cost effective, we could look at doing more than, doing the other areas, but that's his first kind of guess and getting the bid back from the.
Is that stuff smooth enough though that you can get it clean and keep it clean? It's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's got enough texture so it's non-slip,
They actually
but it's.
added sand granules to the polyurethane and applied it just so it wouldn't be slippery. And
Yeah.
you could add different amounts of sand and
We're kind of having a catch 22. It'd be nice if it's smooth so you could squeegee it, but then you're going to slip and fall on your butt. But yeah, we need it a little bit rough.
Well, and that's the other thing, depending on what they do, you could do one product that's the wall and a different product that's the flooring
the floor.
in makeup,
But the
right?
first step is removing the old.
Right. And getting.
They use the hydroblasting for
Yeah.
that.
So that's one of the things, like in my dream world, it would be that everyone moves out of Anderson Park and I have the money to pull all the lines, put the meters in, put the new things in, 50 amps, fix the bathroom, do all the playground up stuff, clean it all up, get the new picnic tables and all the new rings and then be like, open it. It's probably not going to happen like that, but man, that would be nice.
You'd have to do it in the winter.
Yeah.
May.
All right.
But that's-
A lot of people that are in the winters.
Yeah, so,
But not as many. It's not,
yeah.
I can foresee a little bit of a problem getting that floor with all of that buildup because when we water blasted Dewey Pool, we weren't going through all the material that's on that floor built
You're
up.
probably going to end up stripping it,
Yeah.
some sort of chemical stripper, and then doing the final. Yeah.
Because I don't think it's gonna blast.
We had to pull that old liner out of there. That was a job.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So that's what's going on with Anderson. That's kind of where we're at. We're looking into the products availability and all that stuff. Gravel upgrade at Vernonia Lakes. There's funds in the budget to have the gravel placed following grading and removal of the huge pits that are there. So I'm kind of trying to sweet talk Jeff Goodman into doing that and the Lagoon Road one more time with the county's grader, because our stuff just bounces or just takes a ton of time when he could just drive through there with that like he did the 1 year for us.
Whose gravel's sitting there? It's like 7 or 10.
That's ours. It's for the sewer line that's going to go up in the alley.
Oh, okay.
Maybe there'll be some leftover.
Yeah, maybe. STC increase. So these last ones are kind of things you guys added to the plate that have not had any movement. So at the budget time, you wanted to have staff look into getting cost estimate for an SDC increase study, whether or not we know our SDCs are way low. We don't really know what they should be. Lower Columbia Engineering is going to give us a bit of what they propose that kind of study would cost us. You also asked for an employee wage study for potentially determining what it would look like to put step schedules into the different positions. So there would be like either just COLA or just the merit or something, but everybody kind of being different and not in unions or associations. You guys had asked us to kind of look at other municipalities and if they do step things for salary steps, basically. So that hasn't moved forward, but that was something you added. I'm trying to get all my employee reviews, just like you guys are trying to do yours before we're too far into the fiscal year. So I'm working on that. The VPD collective bargaining. So we've been bargaining for a long time. I'm a stickler. We don't have money to do some of the stuff they want. And I'm not going to present you guys with something that isn't financially feasible. So we've been back and forth. We've come to the agreement that I'm going to put, one of the things that was a little concerning to me is the union rep kept sending us pages of the collective bargaining agreement instead of a full track change copy. And then Angie would send him what we're saying, and we'd get it back with one of our lines removed. So what we've agreed to do is Angie and I are going to do all of our changes in a track change copy, save it as a PDF. He's going to review that PDF. He's going to do his own version PDF, and we're going to look at that because I'm like, there is some shady stuff going on, weird lines that aren't showing up red, but are stricken through. So it's like, it's been
When
frustrating.
was the contract over?
No, JR, why do you ask me this stuff? I don't
Well, I
know.
want to know how far we are into it without a contract.
Oh, well, it's only it's the two that are still here
That's right.
under the contract. And I think I'm almost positive I'd have to go pull it. I think there's some like during negotiations, it doesn't nullify until you've hit an impasse or something like that. Sorry.
Yeah. Typical. We only have 2 union representative employees in the city of Vernonia.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. We're not going to give in. We're sticking to our guns. Airport hangar lease increase, you guys had also discussed that. I did mention that to the airport manager, Mike Seeger. And he's not against it. He's like, no, I understand that we need to bring in more money for the airport. And so I said, well, potentially we're going to be doing a review like we did a few years ago where we look up different rates at different like airports and different amenities, and you come up with if there should be an increase for the square footage for the ground lease or not.
Can I back up just to the police thing for a minute?
Yep.
Can you send me the last contract they had? And then also when you get done, send me the new one, because we've never got to see it.
The last contract?
Yeah.
You mean the current one?
Seen any current contracts from the police, what were agreements?
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
maybe include, you have an agreement too with the city, right?
I have a contract.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too.
Sure. So mine and the collective bargaining.
Yeah. And then maybe when we get a new one, does council have to vote on it, or is that up to you?
Well, so that's the thing. Depending on what we get out of it, or push back for it, usually it's the city administrator signs it if it fits within the budget and all this stuff. I've told this union guy, because he keeps messing around, that I'm bringing it to you.
Yeah, because at a certain point, they're going to strike. If it doesn't, at a certain timeline, they'll just walk off the job.
Well, and that's the bummer part is a lot of the requests that they're interested in, sadly, if we implement them, will mean one of them loses their job because I won't have money to pay them.
Right, and then council can say, well, they're going to have to walk off the job then, and then they put pressure back on their union rep or whoever their collective bargaining people say, well, maybe we don't want to push this hard if they
Well,
can't.
and that's what we've been very honest with him since the beginning. And I said, you're requesting stuff that we can't possibly do. And so your guys need to know, you should tell them, if they force the city to try and do this, we will not have money to keep them both employed. And so he's going to share the truth with them and see what happens. So that's where we're at with that. I'll probably just send everyone what Counselor Allen's requested so you can all see it. Okay.
Are these annual?
No, so
They,
I want to say we went 2018 to, no, 20, what is it, 4? They're 2 or 4 years. I want to say 4 because the last time we did it, it was Ruben that did it and I was just new in this job.
what's yours, JR?
What?
Your union?
Oh, they're typically 3-year deals.
3 years.
They can vary. If they give you a sweetheart, they'll ask for 5. Sometimes that's part of the negotiation, lock in for longer or shorter, but
Yeah.
typically a 3-year deal.
Yeah. And there, other than the wages and some other incentives they wanted, they weren't really asking to change like the meat of most of it. But it was this weird tricky stuff. And then one of the things that the thing that was struck out without track changes, and Chief found it today, was that the association members had to vote to go to arbitration. They had stricken that out. So then it would be no matter what, you're going to arbitration. And Chief's like, no, the reason that was put in the contract following the incident with Officer K is because they had no vote. Chief and Sean were in the union. They had no vote. And then for 2 years while we were in litigation, they were the only ones working in that department and they got burnt. They were just burnt out because they were the only guys there and they had no say in whether their department got drugged through this whole process or it was whether or not it was legitimate. And so that's why they left it in the contract. Well, now someone, whether it's the union rep or one of the association members, is trying to strike it out. And Chief's like, oh no, we know what happens to the guys if this comes out.
Trying to cover their.
So the chief is helping you with this.
Chief, Angie and I are the ones talking to the union rep. We're all reviewing it. She's coming out from the financial side. I'm coming at it with Ruben from the legal side. Chief's coming at it from the supervisory side. Like does he want to give them? So one of the things we were talking about is because our department's been flexing with not enough people, not enough people, on call time. And on one hand, that benefits us because if we don't put in some sort of on-call time element, then it's straight overtime or it's a 4-hour call out, even if it's not, one of the things they were really wanting was if their on-call time was kind of an anomaly, they would want to have a car brought to them for them to be on call, not to have to come all the way here, pick up a car, go all the way home and then sit on call. So there's some little things like that they're requesting that if we do it right, we're going to have very little on call time. So it doesn't bug chief and so those are the things he's looking at. Like, can my department handle these things we're kind of promising in the makeup of it right now or not? So we'll just see. So we went airport, CZ trail signage. We're working with the county to finish the trail signage. The signs that are actually going on the lateral boards, the horizontal boards, are not finished yet. They're working with the state prison, does those. And so they're not completed yet. So if you see just 2 metal uprights, it's because I'm not going to put the brand new sealed boards and wait for some kid to spray paint it. I'm going to wait till the signs are done. So Jeremy at the county said they're hoping by mid-August, all the signs will be delivered so they can outlay them. In addition to that, one of the things is that in addition to the trailhead signs that you see at Anderson Park and then at the Maple Adams parking lot area, the county applied for it and got a Travel Oregon grant to put another bike hub station in at Vernonia Lake. So that's going to be one of those kiosks with information, a little bike fix-it station like we have at Anderson, a weird sign that is going to be everywhere, I guess, on the trail now, bike hub. It says bike hub. If you're coming at it, it's like this little bus stop looking sign that says bike hub, and then a bench. And I think that's it. Oh, a little bike rack in case someone wanted to lock their bike up. So I went with Jason Wheelock, who's the head of Parks Committee, and it has to be somewhere on the lake trail, around the lake. We looked at by David Sterner, by Susie, by the playground. It's just too crowded over there. And ultimately, if we wanted to expand something or do something, that's a good flat area we didn't want to kind of mark up. So if you're going by the gravel parking lot, if you count one on the second cherry tree, in between the second and the third cherry tree, they're going to be linear right there up against the trail with still leaving enough room for access for public works or pump guys to drive behind and get to what they need to do. But it will be it's kind of a nice little view there. It's far enough away from the parking lot so it won't be dusty, but not fully down the side where then it kind of gets marshy. As you go past the chip shed, there's the wetland. That was just not going to work either. So that's what's going on in the city of Vernonia.
Wow.
You didn't even talk about the docks that are sinking and the other stuff.
No, I didn't. If it's something that we're looking into that's like maintenance, I didn't, we got to, lots of.
Our new guy, Schneider, likes to fix things around here, right?
Well, he's already, Shannon, the guts went out of one of the urinals and he ordered the parts and put the urinal back together and he put a door handle on the lake thing. So he's just doing stuff all over the place.
The lake door's all busted. The screws are broke off because the holes are rusted out, have to be drilled and tapped or weld a new pocket in there. They're kind of a mess.
Oh, for the metal. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And I know people that can fix that if you ever get to that point where we have to weld a new pocket or tap and drill.
Okay.
So that's a little over people's head. They don't do that stuff sometimes, so.
Yeah, and Mitch is really good at kind of being like, I can totally handle this. That I can do, which I like because I don't want someone wasting time or tinkering and having us just have to hire someone later. So he's done pretty well with being pretty open with what he can.
Is that the rig we're selling right out there? The one that parks with the alarm that goes off?
No, that's code enforcement's vehicle.
The alarm goes off all the time.
Yeah, it's a sensitivity thing. Rob couldn't figure out. I put it on my list for other things to add on. Rob tried to figure out how to dial that back, and I don't know if it's vibration or it's the housing that it's in, something. So we're still trying to work on it.
We had a neighbor's car that would just go off in the middle of the night all the time. It was a brand new Nissan Z. At Marge's.
Yeah.
Marge's.
Remember Marge's
Yeah.
new Z? She used to zip around. It'd go off at 2 a.m. about once a week, forever. And
You just unhook the horn.
Nip.
Right.
it was just
So-
every alarm would just go off for no reason.
Yeah. So we're working on that. The one that we're getting rid of has like a weird vampire sucking you have to unhook the battery because of it being hybrid. If you don't, then it just drains the battery. It's got some weird vampire thing going on.
No, sometimes those things.
He looked at that too and he couldn't exactly figure it out. He's like, give it away or burn it. Get it out of here.
Really?
We were like, okay, well, we got it for free
Yeah.
from a different agency, but he's just like, I hate those. Get it out of here. So we're going to try and get rid of it.
So the like campground is probably another.
Oh, yeah. Lake
Don't
Camp.
think we have that.
Well,
on.
what's weird is I thought it was on. It must have been
Yeah.
I had the list of all the things that we did
Yes.
and that isn't there. Camping at the lake. No.
Pressure washing downtown, pressure washing the pocket parks. I mean, there's lots of, part of that beautification, I guess.
Yeah. Some of that stuff I didn't detail out,
I
like
guess,
resetting pavers. And
okay, it's different.
Yeah, we got the
Yeah.
gravel.
So the camping at the
Gravel.
lake, I did talk to Jason about when we were looking at the bike hub thing.
Oh.
But he's kind of the lone man in that group, or has been. Maybe Grant knows if there's someone real gung ho, but Skip was kind of his partner in that idea.
Right.
And now I don't know if Jason has a new partner.
I don't think so.
So I looked at, Counselor Webb came in because we were talking about removing the dirt that's down there. There's some piles of our own just dirt spoils. We're removing the debris that got brought in, that's limbs and stumps and stuff.
Yeah.
But potentially some of that dirt could be used. There's some low spots. So once we get the vegetation on the LiDAR, you could see there's some like wallows in there.
Right.
So I talked to Jason and I said, well, if we do the borrow site planting, we have a cat here, potentially what we would end up doing is at least doing some preliminary rounds around the burner base to kind of open it up, see what we're working with, see what's needed.
Do we have any old B Street grindings left? Or has that all been used?
B Street. When they paved that,
Yeah,
no, so
Right.
they just
there was a big pile of it down there
and
that you used to redo the dump road. And which is by now, it's really good shape.
B Street grindings. I knew there was a pilot dam, but it was enough to do the Lagoon Road?
Yeah, Jeff put some on there.
Oh, that's news to me.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that's.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
The grinding asphalt. and use
Yeah.
that- and use that to.
He had a
fix
big
stuff.
pile of that.
Be a good base if nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Either.
Yeah, I'm out of the loop on that, Rick. Which is fine. He's allowed,
When
he's
is it done?
permanent. He
When did
can,
your truck get here?
well, that's on our list of purchases. We have a whole purchasing list.
Oh.
He's been back and forth with the guy at the dealership trying to get the chassis and all this stuff. So I'd have to ask Jeff because he said he's waiting on a call from Dodge.
You want to make sure he got bids from many different places. He's
Yeah.
heard from Ford, he's a Ford guy, but he wants to make sure he gets bids from other places so that he
Yeah.
makes the best decision.
Basically 3 bids instead of 1 bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I wonder if we're going
They
to
get
get held up over
computers,
the
yep.
ship.
Well, that's the
Right.
thing is that I think that's what's holding up Dodge. The other ones were like, oh yeah, I got this one or I got that one or whatever.
Dodge was okay. It's Ford and Chevy that are short on parts and Toyota.
That's what I knew.
Yeah,
Ford, I
so
thought Ford were certain. Yeah.
He went to all of them.
He decides which one he wants, then you purchase it?
No, so he just decides which one's gonna fit the box going on it, right? All the details out, we double, triple check it. And then Angie is the one that does the transactions.
Oh, she's your purchasing agent?
She's finance, yeah, director. We all sign off, oh, yep, that's the one, but
We authorized the money in the budget. They just haven't spent it yet.
yeah,
That's what I was wondering if it had been purchased yet. but
no.
it's not like it has.
Reflecting all that
So I have-
interest.
Yeah. So I have the things we wanted to purchase for the truck chassis, the snow plow,
Mhm.
and that was it for purchasing in the budget. That was, kind of side things. The rest of them were projects. And then we are bringing you guys potentially the water purification trailer. We figured out if we purchase that, what it would cost, the little excavator and trailer, some options of that combo. The other thing is potentially, since we're getting rid of the one that has the vampire thing, we need a small little truck or something. It doesn't even have to be, we need something that isn't a enclosed vehicle for Mitch to use to ladders, equipment, lumber. He's been doing a great job trying to do that with what he's got, but it's happening with
Needs a van with a ladder rack on top, probably, huh?
Then he'd be the sketchy down by the river van guy.
I think he wants little pickups.
Yeah, pickup's okay, but if you're gonna have supplies in it and stuff to fix stuff where you keep it all out in the rain and, I don't know, you got to mix. Your van, you can keep all the good stuff, tools and everything, but
Yeah,
the pickup's handy because you can put taller stuff in it, but we can
Right.
pick up for that.
Longer stuff.
well, I know that they kind of looked and priced out potentially ones with like a little Ranger with the extra cab or the little cab behind where you could just have all that kind of your tool bags and stuff right there, if it's that kind of equipment. Typically, if he needs to do a project, he's going up to the cemetery shop or public works to do sawing or that kind of stuff, because that's where all the real equipment is held.
What's he using now to get around?
The little vampire sucking Ford Escape,
Oh, wonderful.
the other one, right?
The one that drains the battery.
Yeah, so he's just,
It's probably the cell phone.
Surprisingly, he's had okay luck with it.
yeah, he's
He
been,
drives it so often that it's
Keeps it.
been
yeah,
all right.
Right, and that's another trick to those.
yeah, you can't let him sit.
The computers are always drawing power. The battery might last 3 days. He's driving it enough that every 3 days he's running it, so it's not a problem. But if you let it sit a week, it's dead.
Yeah,
My car, it's a HFL or whatever that runs the cell phone stuff. It goes bad and you just unplug it and then it doesn't go dead anymore.
oh, weird. It's like the Bluetooth capacity.
It is, it's up above the dome light. You just unplug it and then they all go bad and they're like $600 for a new one or something. Everybody just, because the batteries will go dead. So mine's unplugged. But
You think that they would stop putting that in? It's happening,
Oh, no. They want to sell the $600 part.
I guess.
you can put them in the oven and rebake them and they'll work for a while. It's a solder connection or something.
Okay, I'm
You
going
guys have any
to
other?
forward. Any other questions or comments?
So
Yeah.
we need to be thinking about prioritizing
Yeah, so if you guys
not
took
only the
this
front
home,
list, but the second
yeah,
list.
I mean, the yellow ones are the ones we're currently working on. So in my brain, potentially the green and gray and some of the red disappear and those yellows rise up because they're the current on the plate things. But then when it comes to the reds and the bottom half of the list and this new list, that's all still kind of floating in the air. I mean, I'm working on the ones I can touch as we're going with everything else. But ultimately, staff really needs to know, these are the 20 things you should be working on. And these are the 20 things we're not going to ask you about because we know they're on the bottom of the list. Because I feel really,
Stressed out.
well, no, I feel like sometimes you guys are asking me about stuff that's way over here and I don't have an answer you like, but it's really because I'm doing other things, trying to move the things at the top forward so things get left behind.
To be honest with you, it looks like Public Works has been in a big stall mode. Just with stuff that doesn't seem to move. The Public Works projects I don't know if it's because people are hurt or.
There's lots of fires constantly.
Yeah, I don't feel like they're stalling anything. I feel like on some of it, it's either been materials or legal or just weird things you can't really, they're busting butt every day to do something, but you can't, with 4 guys and a hurt
I
supervisor.
think I've been watching them do different projects and,
They work hard.
you know, I'll give you one example of the water leak on Knott Street. And I told Josette about it. And then within a couple of days, it was done.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's the problem is
on stuff.
these projects are kind of outside of treating the sewer, making the water, fixing broken meters, putting in so many meters a year. All of it is there. They have kind of their, you have to do all this stuff. And when you're not doing that, do all this. So that's kind of the thing with 4 guys.
Do you want us to prioritize 20 of these, 34?
Well, or just peruse it, get comfortable with it. So once we're done with my review and we have a priority work session, you know what rises to the top for each of you. And we could just maybe even go down what's your number 1 and do a little writing up on the board type of thing to get what you guys agree is at the top, I guess is what I'm saying.
What I meant
Go
by
ahead, Jeff.
stall was I thought Jeff was the one that typically ran the backhoe. So any of these pipe jobs, I always see Jeff on the backhoe, but since he's not working.
No.
He's not the only one that runs it now.
Okay, so
Chris.
somebody else is doing.
Chris will do it.
Yeah, Chris planted the trees with the backhoe.
Okay, so we're
So
not,
there's been a ton of cross training and kind of giving these guys a little bit of free reign with educated free reign, like Austin. We're like, okay, you're going to be in charge of crack sealing. And before he even met with Ben, he's like, I've come up with this. These are my 3 grading. Before he knew you were out there, he had come up with his own system. He had gone and graded all of it and decide, he was really motivated. This was his project. He was taking it on and they're doing great. And he's like, okay, I need this many more buckets of the rope and I need this many more. So to Jeff's, in favor of Jeff, he's really letting them kind of become what they can become instead of being the supervisor that runs around doing everything and they're just the go-to gophers. They're actually taking on stuff and learning skill. And he's finding it much more restful when he's injured to, they do it. We've taught them how to do it and it's working. So,
reality check, if you're the one that's doing everything and knows everything and you get hurt
yeah,
or get sick or die or whatever,
yeah,
move or whatever.
yeah. So,
Not micromanage them. He's given them reins to experiment, which is helping us.
yeah. And there's, they still are going back and double checking if they run into something. But for the most part, they're replacing, all the new meters. They're doing all that. He's not with them for that at all.
They're learning a lot.
They are.
So that's what I was kind of wondering is if, I know they got these certifications, right? You're like wastewater 1 or 2 and all that. They do that. Does it get them a trigger? It doesn't trigger them an automatic raise. That's something we were talking about, right? A level. I don't know how you guys do it, but it seems like in other places, once you have those certifications, you hit that automatic level and it kind of, it forces them to do the training and then hopefully they make more and they stick around longer instead of, I've been here 3 years. I'm not going anywhere. I'm quitting, I don't know. It's going to cost us more, but we can build all that into the budget.
Well, so currently they get certification stipends. So if you hold certain certifications, you get I think it's like $25 or something per paycheck for certain certifications.
Oh, it's every paycheck.
Yeah. And then by the time you're at your 23 and 30-day date of anniversary, you have to be certified in utility worker 1, water, sewer. If you don't take your test and get certified within that period, those first 2 years, then you got to go. Because you have to be someone we can hand over part of it to. Otherwise, you're just kind of a worker and not somebody that can run the water plant or do sewer lab or all that.
But we don't have set starting pay, set certification 1 or 2 pay. And
Yeah, so the stipends are all, that's already in the agreement for like employees, like this is what you get per certification stipend. We do not have a set wage. I believe most of them have been started at the same wage every time. I don't think anybody came in ahead. But no, we don't have the step bumps. We had that when we had the Public Works Union before that disbanded. And part of the problem is the people before us just kept upping that person to when, I think it was Donna, when I was on council with Donna Webb, they were like out of the scale. They had to wait like 3 years up here at this wage before it even made sense to the scale anymore because they had like priced themselves out. So that's the thing that worries me about the scale is the flip side of the scale kind of makes you understand what you're going to pay someone. But when they hit that top step, it's kind of a deterrent because if that's all they're ever going to make from you, that's almost as bad as not learning any skill and wanting to go somewhere else where you can rise above. Does that make sense? So there's pluses and minuses to the scale type payment.
Well, I work under a union scale, but my employer's free to pay me more, which they do, luckily for me.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But I think if I was trying to pitch to the budget committee, hey, this guy's at the top of the scale, you should pay him more. How likely is the budget committee to do it? Probably not as likely as maybe your employer would be. So that's we got to, in all of the information we find out about what other communities are doing will help you guys determine what you really want to do ultimately.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that being a wintertime thing, bringing you guys some information, maybe have work sessions even without staff, just to bat around what's out there and what's happening. And then if you're going to adopt something, adopt it prior to March when we would put it in place for the next budget.
Probably need to start that process probably around 1st of December, probably.
Yeah. Give yourself some time so you're not
January.
rushing it.
I know we've briefly, you and I have chatted about drug testing. I don't think, is there any employees in this city that does any drug testing?
Say that one more time.
Bus drivers.
Any city employees will take a pre-employment drug test and a random.
No, they do not.
Nobody has ever taken a drug test. So,
I believe currently the only time we have it written down that we would drug test someone is an accident, on job accident.
I was just wondering if you improve the caliber, I think, of the employees, if you do drug testing, I think you would also save on your insurance.
Maybe, I don't.
Anyway,
I don't know. I know that some employers just go to the rapid current, like say it's pot. It's legal in the state, right, to use recreational marijuana. We don't have anything in our employee handbook that would stop someone from going on a vacation and using that. So a lot of
I can't do it. I have to drug test.
But that's written into your, right? That's why I'm saying we currently don't have anything in place that would allow us to do it. The flip side of that is that a lot of places like Bob Argy works at the Foundry, they do, for his underling employees, they do randoms, but they're like instant randoms where are you under the influence right now while you're on the job? Somehow there's a test that reads that, which I think would make more sense because really, I don't know if it's not a written policy, how you get mad at someone for doing something 3 days ago on vacation and then they're sober here at work.
No, you'd have to rewrite.
Well, if the city requires its employees to have a commercial driver's license,
Yeah, and I don't,
that,
There's only one.
I think,
I said if,
oh yeah, that could trigger it. Sure.
that could trigger it.
I guess
Because
I'm
it's
wondering, do you,
a federal,
like, the way you're saying it, I don't know any of us that are drug users. So when you're like a better caliber, I'm like, what the hell? I'm not even a drinker, for God's
I'm
sake.
talking about future people that
Oh,
want to
okay.
apply.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I'm talking generalization of the future of, we want good caliber public works people. We want good caliber police. If you're,
Cops aren't.
if you're known for a city that doesn't drug test, you could attract the wrong people. Like, I can't work over here because I have to quit doing my drugs, but I could work here.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we can look into it. I don't know that, I don't think Greg in Clatskanie does any drug testing, but I could look at what other cities are doing. Ask my counterparts and say, are you drug testing certain positions? Are you only drug testing with accidents? Are you drug testing everyone randomly once a year?
Just do pre-employment, and then if they get hurt, it automatically triggers a drug test.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
there's every option probably out there available.
And the drug, if you participate in a drug program, testing program, that includes alcohol. And so if you do a random testing, a tester could, from that company could come in at 8 o'clock in the morning and test your whole crew
So the immediate,
for alcohol, marijuana or whatever, and
Yeah.
kind of drugs. And so it's a good thing if we decide to do it. So it includes more than just pot, you know.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, if I had any inkling that my employees are coming to work under the influence, you can bet I'm going to figure out how to get them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's just me, but
Anyway, just something I was thinking
Yeah.
about. Just seemed odd that in today's age, we're not doing drug testing.
Yeah, but not everybody does that, JR. But the thing is, if you do know that there's an instant, like we get back from our bus run in the morning and Shelley says, you got to go over to Concentra when you're done with your route today. If somebody's going to tell you that, you're not going to be using drugs. You're not going to come to work and sip on the way.
oh yeah, no,
Because you know what happened, you're going to get fired
yeah.
on the spot.
We had a guy that was transferred to the PDX, and I think he was happy. So he celebrated the night before with some hard stuff, and nobody really told him that at 7 a.m, Hoffman was going to have their drug person show up right there at orientation, take you right out the door. And he
You're done.
failed on alcohol and had to go through the whole program, which was in there with hardcore narcotic people and all this weird stuff for about 3 months. I mean, he didn't lose his job, but he had to go through the program.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't know. We can definitely look into it if that's something you guys want us to look into, what other community cities are doing, pros, cons.
Oh, I think it's something that'll come up when we probably do the thing with the wage thing. Oh, like a big package if we're going to
Oh, like changes. Sure.
structure, look at drug testing. I'm just kind of spitballing there a little bit.
Yeah.
If you really want good people, I think that's the direction.
so does your union pay you when you pass a test?
What's that?
Does your union pay you when you pass a test?
I get $50.
Are we going to do that?
Sure. But we pay into it. It comes out of my paycheck every week.
Your
I pay
union
into
pays.
it.
So you got rewarded for a good,
Oh, yeah.
I get rewarded if I flunk it. No, I think I just.
get nothing over there. You just got to keep the job.
But I haven't had a random in about 2 years. It's weird. They used to test me constantly.
They stopped during the COVID.
I haven't had one in years, but I had 2 within about 3 months.
I had 2 in 1
It
week,
was like 7 years ago. I had 2 within 3 months.
just before Christmas and just after.
Oh, wow.
They can get you 2 times in 1 year. So they waited till just before, and then they waited like 4 days, and I got it again. I was like, well, that's weird. They must have thought I was going to go party or something.
$100.
Huh?
$100.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll take it.
So yeah, any other Grant? I don't know if we need to meet now since I just spilled the beans to everything
Hey,
because we were supposed to meet.
Everything.
What do you got up here? Just separate?
No, so these were just Public Works current. So Angie, Jeff and I had a powwow. We dumped everything in our brains. So these were mostly things that were on your new page, right? We did a powwow and kind of put them on a big board, and it was uglier before I rewrote it because it was just like Jeff saying all this stuff and I'm profusely writing. But yeah, these are current Public Works, current administration things, and then the bottom part of it is the new, the second page is the new that's on here. I was just doing it up there and down here to keep my brain figuring it out.
Most of those are on the second page.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, you got the new camping area at the lake up there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I must have missed it because I did all that and then I was like checking them off, so I must have missed some.
I seen a guy, their pickup camper sitting down there, looked like they were camping. Kind of awful.
Somebody on Saturday.
Yeah,
You see him Saturday?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a moneymaker, and it might be worth trying to complete it halfway decent with this free COVID money, but that's a decision to have, I guess. But so is a moneymaker.
or put the work in to develop the plan and use next the next round of COVID money to bust it out, fully designed, boom. Somebody comes in and cuts it, somebody plants the little separator bushes, somebody gravels it.
We've got the money to kind of rough it in.
Yeah.
Get it thought out and roughed in, and then next budget cycle.
I am reluctant to keep piling stuff on our 3 or 4 employees that do physical work in this.
Well, a lot of this, I think we can contract.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah, that's,
You guys want to spend the money on contracting it instead of putting it on public works shoulders.
yeah. It's just,
Well, they can only,
Done sooner.
right.
if you want it done, you're gonna have to pay.
Right.
Done sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing with like Mitch is kind of going through and evaluating stuff. We've been, for so many years, we've been the spendthrift city that didn't do things super quick because we were trying to be cost effective. And sometimes it makes more sense to spend the money, have a little hit, have it done. Because otherwise you pile on and it just feels like a monotonous.
A lot of it gets
It'd be like the
lost.
play shed. In 5 more years, the whole roof would have been junk, probably rotten trusses and everything. You know?
Yeah, so some of those like one-time big hit expenses that set you up for longer term use of stuff is super important.
So, just to tag in here. If you want an example, I think it's 2 examples. It's kind of an example of a failure, but it's also an example of success. Up there on 4th Avenue, and I went around and did the street inventory, looking at the condition, which we'll probably talk about. But, it's a fairly new development up there. When Ben said he had the number off the top of his head. It's been there longer than you think.
20 years, maybe.
No, it's like
Oh, no.
12, it's like 2013 or 12, 13 or
First
14.
house even?
Sharon built.
The ones that down to the side of it, the new one, last couple of years.
I drove down that and I was like, wow, there's a big crack across the road. Well, there's another one. There's another. I mean, that whole street was cracked all the way across, all the way down. And so I was besides doing, I mean, that went from a good to it went from, I think previously it was
Excellent, yeah.
and it went to a fair because of all the cracking. I mean, it wasn't alligatoring yet, but it's just all these cracks, and then those cracks, they just go to your road. So anyhow, I put it also, I was doing a little crack seal list off to the side there of streets. I mean, this is a candidate for that. So I came down and Ben said to it, Austin was all excited. They were going to go out and do crack seal. And so I drove up there and I see they were doing it. They were just finished. I think, what do you use? He used quite a few blocks in there. He said those cracks, and besides being wide, they were deep. And he said, some of them, you start putting the crack fill in there, it's like it was going in underneath the asphalt. You could hear it underneath
Is
the
that where
asphalt.
they got some rope stuff to lay in there?
Yeah, so they were laying that rope and run her out of
There'd
rope.
still be a hollow spot though.
So, yeah, I mean, you go up there.
How long?
Then it-
They are tar strips. I mean, they got her sealed up pretty good, and then, which is good because that's probably going to save us
Yeah.
quite a few years on that
Well,
street.
it's tar you lay in there, just tar rope.
It's kind of a tar rope.
It's sleeved in a melt away.
It melts.
Like a plastic, looks like a long black licorice rope
Licorice.
with a plasticky type
Kind
wrapping.
of a spiral.
So you
Well, you
lay
can-
it there, heat it up to fill the void, right? And then you put your goop on.
Was that street built on some fill?
No, it was that Lincoln, I think it's called Lincoln Estates, that subdivision was all brand new. One of the things I was thinking though, is I don't know at that time, because that was a number of years ago, if there was the requirement for kind of the inspection of the base, the depth. There's a few of those projects that were that wrong time where no one here was seeming to ask, how deep is your pit run? How deep is
Yeah.
your 3/4 inch minus, right? And I think it just was one of those that
Got through.
got through.
If it was
Yeah, they-
done by a private contractor, it probably didn't have all those.
Well, no, it should have been, for the code, it should have been anyway, those certain depths, right? That's
Could have been.
public works standards.
Nobody
I don't-
expected it.
Right, I don't know who here, or maybe they took someone's word. I don't know what was going on, but there was a few different properties that had that kind of, where they either got by or someone did a quick inspection, but not watching the
They're,
process.
But we have our
Yeah.
engineer now that does
Yeah.
the spot inspections. so,
Yeah.
On a street build like that. So,
Yeah, you'd be
like where we're
proving
at.
that stuff.
So the city crew has used it then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
and
they're-
They not only did that, they did
Washington.
Washington and then what's in front of John Brewer.
Grant,
Grant, yeah, they've done those. And those up there were just more cracks that they could just run the machine on. But these up here, he said, he was amazed too. Well, he lives on the street.
yeah,
Austin does.
Yeah.
But he said he didn't realize till they took the air wand in there and blew those out. He says they were deep.
yeah,
I mean, whatever the thickness of the asphalt is.
right.
So,
So it's going to be good. We're going to, yeah.
We're doing the lake as a volunteer thing. Is that what you want to do?
yes, sir.
But we haven't set a date.
Not yet. I'm thinking probably the last Friday of the month.
After Jamboree. We talked about that.
I'm thinking the last Friday
Of
of August.
August.
Yeah.
And then one of our guys will not work and be there with you to run
Well,
whatever.
we're probably gonna do it on Friday. So,
Oh, okay, yeah. Then he wouldn't have to.
Maybe Donnie could help us too.
he's probably working man. Maybe we can get somebody.
He doesn't realize he's going to have to semi-retire now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for new business B?
Oh, yeah, we got that.
Then we can go home.
Okay.
It won't take long.
I do need to get to
Okay,
sleep.
Last week I came in Josette's office and I gave her a proposal. And she said to pass it on to the council. What I want to do, if the first stump's still sound to carving, I want to take on that project by myself. I'm not asking any money from the city. I'm going to be working with Carvin Marvin on it. I've already talked to him about it. And so what I'm doing, asking you tonight is kind of a general consensus that gives me permission to test the stump this week. And then I have a proposal of what I'd like to carve and I'll present it. If it's a go, I'll present it to the council meeting on the 2nd at our next council meeting. And do you guys want to hear what it is?
Well, they would be deciding based on it, wouldn't they?
Okay, I better not then.
And we have some visuals that we found that we think you should
Okay.
come out with your proposal.
Okay.
He hasn't seen it?
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Dale saw it because we walked in when we were like, hey, look at this.
And Carvin Marvin gave me a pretty good
Oh, good. Okay.
illustration too.
Okay.
So anyway,
So the general.
if I can get a general consensus to at least
Explore.
take 1 or 2 inches off the top of the school barn to see if it's sound.
You going to
And
drill it too?
whatever Carvin or Marvin's going to come out and help me with it.
Okay.
And he said, all I need to do is take 2 inches off the top of that school barn and I could tell you whether it's good or not. So,
Well, we might as well do something or else we're just going to have to cut it off pretty soon anyway.
right.
We burn it for firewood.
Yep. So thumbs up from you guys?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
let's move on with that.
Well, I'll adjourn the meeting at 9:30 then. Meeting adjourned.
Wow.
All that just to talk about